the hill and then started walking. Storming the border. Not bad, eh?
Yeah, not bad at all. Hey!
We made it down, them all lads with us.
Hello, how you doing?
Oh, take me home to a place I belong. Rocky Road, little poppies, take me home where I belong. There's only one Craig Norman. One Craig Norman. There's only one Craig Norman. One God and left side. There's only one God and left side. Not they going missing.
Yes, I know, yeah, you play cricket.
Is it? Is it?
Cricket with me, I know.
He's made the effort.
Great keeper.
You are my Kettering, my only Kettering. You make me happy. West skies are great. West skies are great. You'll never notice how much I love you. So please don't take my Kettering away. La 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 la. La la la. Kettering. Kettering. We want to go home! We want to go home! Please help us, council! We want to go home! We want to go home! If you love Kettering, hands up! 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 Go Stevie, all the big in the double, all the rest go Stevie. All right, the rest! Come on, Stevie! Come on, boys. Kettering, and we're proud to be 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 Kettering. That's what I'm saying. This is not being a barbecue. It doesn't technically mean Saturday, so it's Are there any apologies for absence?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I received apologies from Councillors Peter Adams, Mark Deering, Ruth Broom, Jim Hayward, Philip Holloway, Margaret Talbot, Kenny Watts, and John Thomas.
Thank you very much. Item 8 is to receive any public deputations and petitions. What I want to do now is set out how we'll deal with this matter tonight. I want to explain how we've handled the petition and the debate. There has, over the last few weeks, been a number of exchanges of letters, emails and media coverage regarding this item. Whether it can or can't be part of the debate, and more particularly, misunderstandings around the process for determining what is an asset of community value, and how this council came to the decision about Rotherham Road. I'll start with the petition. The rules around petitions are clearly set out in the council's constitution. It states that a request for a deputation or petition may be rejected if it is a matter on which the council must follow other rules or procedures contained in the consultation. The other rules or procedures that apply in this case are those outlined in the Localism Act, surrounding which cover the subject matter of your petition. It is also true that it is not a matter that full council has power over, and consequently it is not in our gift to comply with this petition. However, ladies and gentlemen, to refuse your petition this evening would seem to be churlish. We accept it and we acknowledge the level of community support surrounding it. We will have 5 minutes for you to talk about your petition, and I do need to ask you to keep your comments to the petition itself. Then we will have a short period where members can offer any comments on this process. I need to be clear to councillors that this is not a matter for us. I am not going to entertain councillors wandering off on the immediate point and latitude. I won't be extending to councillors who I'll be expecting to observe the rules of debate we've all signed up to. However, because of the misunderstandings about this, before I invite you to speak on your petition, I'm going to ask the Chief Executive to clarify the basic process around determining an asset of community value, the subject matter of your petition, which I hope will bring some clarity to the framework we must work within. We've also distributed a frequently asked questions and decision-making tree around the chamber and the other rooms available tonight, and a description of what happens to an asset of community value for your information on this matter. Once the Chief Executive has completed his explanation, then I will ask Mr Atkinson to address the Council for 5 minutes from the lectern. Members, once we have heard from Mr Atkinson, you will have no more than 15 minutes to debate the item. But I must insist that you keep to the subject matter of the petition, and please do bear in mind the real limitations we have in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I often find myself giving advice in this chamber which might not find favour with some portion of it. Never has that been more true than it is tonight. I usually preface my remarks in those circumstances by saying I am not saying that what I'm about to say is a good thing. I am not saying it is a bad thing. I'm saying it's a thing. And it might be helpful, Mr. Mayor, if I try to just explain what an asset of community value is, what it is not, and what process we are bound to follow in coming to a conclusion about that. One of my colleagues summed this up beautifully this afternoon when he said to me that just because an asset is valued by the community, it does not make it an asset of community value. The reason for that is because what an asset of community value is not a matter of choice or judgment. It's a matter of law. And so there's a particular piece of legislation which deals with this. And Mr. Mayor, what we've tried to do here is put a decision tree up, which is essentially what the legislation requires us to do to come to a conclusion. What the legislation says, and it's section 88 of the Localism Act of 2011, I'm sure people can Google that when they're home. The first test or question that a council must ask itself in considering whether an asset can be designated legally as an asset of community value, different from an asset of community values, is it must ask itself the question, is this asset currently in community use? I don't think anyone would say that the Rockingham Road ground is currently an asset in community use. If the next question is that if it is not in current use, has it been in current use in recent years? Now, that if it has been in community use in recent years, then you must pass another test. The next test is, in the case of it not being used currently, but it being used in recent years, is there a realistic prospect, a reasonable prospect, that it could be brought back into community use within a 5-year period?
Yes.
Yes. And everyone, Mr. Mayor, will have their own view about those particular questions. Rightly or wrongly, the people who considered this matter, because it is not a matter of free choice. The law is very clear about this. No amount of passion, as admirable as it is, can overwhelm what Parliament has put in place. And Parliament has put in place a general system here which does not likely limit the rights of a landowner to use their land as they see fit. It's a fundamental principle of our law that if you own an asset, you're entitled to do with it what you wish. Members of the Planning Committee, Mr. Mayor, will be well aware that the presumption is in favour that an applicant can do what they wish with their land. And they can only be stopped from doing what they wish with the land if there are very good planning reasons. The applicant has a right of appeal if they don't get their permission. But the objectors have no right of appeal. It's a presumption in law is that a landowner can choose to do with their own land what they wish. And to preserve that, the specific test. Now, rightly or wrongly, Mr. Mayor, colleagues looked at this asset and said they did not believe it was currently in use. They said no to the first question. Rightly or wrongly, and I respect that people would have a different view. They took the view that if the asset was last used in the 10-11 football season, they did not consider that to be recent. I respect that others may have a different view, but that's the view they took. But if one takes that view, and I'm not suggesting for a minute that everyone does here, Mr. Mayor, But if one takes that view, it is not an asset which could be listed for as an asset of community value. It can't be. Only if you can answer yes to that question and answer yes to the question, is it realistically possible, can it actually be listed? Because this listed is effectively a legal covenant, a legal definition that lies over the land. And it carries with it certain limitations. And so therefore there have to be certain tests. And not unlike planning, the landowner has a right of appeal if they believe it's been wrongly listed, but those who sought to have it listed have no right, if it is not listed, of appeal. They can judicially review the decision. Mr. Mayor, I'm not saying that everyone will agree with either that particular piece of legislation or agree with the decision that someone came to that the 2010-11 football season is not recent. But that is the process, for better or for worse, that was followed, Mr. Mayor. And if I could, Phil, if an asset is listed as being of community value, this is what it does do for that asset, and this is all it does for that asset. If it is an asset which could be listed, then the asset owner must advise those who do the listing if they wish to sell it. That's section 85. The section references are put in brackets on this decision tree, they're on the chair. So you can check this out for yourself. This is the sections that are in the Act. Section 95 says, if it's listed, then the landowner must say, I intend to sell it. At that point, the community group, which wishes to acquire it, has got 6 weeks to notify of its aspiration to acquire. If it doesn't notify of its aspiration to acquire within 6 weeks, the landowner is free to do what they want, when they want, how they want. If they do notify, then within 6 months, the landowner cannot sell that piece of land or enter into a binding agreement to sell that piece of land after the 6-month period is elapsed. In effect, it sterilises the sale of that asset for 6 months. I believe the thinking in the legislator's mind at the time was that would give the community group 6 months to come up with the wherewithal to make a competitive bid. After 6 months has elapsed, the landowner is absolutely free to do anything they like with that piece of land, including, incidentally, selling it to somebody other than the community group for a lower sum. The council has no role or power to compel the landowner to do anything. And even if one was able to persuade that the 2010-11 football season was recent, one would still have to pass the test about reasonably bring it back into use. And even if you did, what you do is secure a moratorium on sale for 6 months as a maximum. Mr. Mayor, I'm not saying that is a good thing. I am not saying that is a bad thing. But that is the thing we are dealing with. That's why, Mr. Mayor, the frequently asked questions, and we have tried to explain what a listed is or is not. And it's evident, Mr. Mayor, as you said earlier in your remarks, that there is some misunderstanding that this is somehow a matter of free political will, and if you chose to, you could just do it. That is not the case. It is a simple, straightforward issue of, does it pass these tests? Yes or no? And it's not a matter of choice, it's not a matter whether people like or dislike the ambitions of the community group or the purpose. Mr. Mayor, I don't want to take any more time in the debate, but you thought it would be useful to just set the scene on what process was followed. And the Executive Committee, not this Council, is the committee which has, in law, this function delegated to it. Some functions belong to full Council, and some functions don't. Assets of community value are matters for the executive by law. Council cannot trump the executive on that matter. You may recall, councils will recall, that when we talked about assets a little while ago, that that's a function of the executive committee, and even council can't decide how that's dealt with. And we had to find a mechanism to deal with assets, because that was delegated directly to the executive committee. The executive committee, when it considered this matter, came to the conclusion it was not a matter of political judgment, it was a matter of fact. And it was best left to a lawyer and a community services person to consider any applications in, forgive me for saying this, in quite a clinical and detached way, because the law would expect us to do that. And not unlike planning, if we didn't do that, we'd be very vulnerable to challenge, because as members will know, we have 4 responsibilities in exercising our judgment. Do we consider everything that is relevant? Do we consider nothing that is irrelevant? Do we give proper weight to each consideration? And do we make a decision which a reasonable person would say is rational? The point of contention here in process can, I think, Mr. Mayor, be around whether or not the 2010-11 football season is recent or not. But rightly or wrongly, that judgment was made that it was not recent. But that's where we stand today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You will forgive me. We have provided every piece of information we've been asked for in advance of this meeting, and the first that we've heard of the procedures this evening are when you've announced them now. So you'll forgive me if my speech contains things that don't necessarily fall within the bounds that you have now set. We have no prior acknowledgement of that, and my speech has been prepared, so you'll forgive me if I read it as it is. I would also like to say, in response to the Chief Executive, that there is no legal definition of... There is no legal definition of recent use in the Localism Act. That is left to the Council to make that decision on your own. There is no legal definition of that. Bringing this petition here today, we are letting you, the councillors, hear the voices of your community and are looking to you to debate the opinions expressed by your residents. We are not seeking any form of decision on an ACV application this evening. Could and should a local council help its local football club? This question has already been answered in this chamber. In July 2015, the council unanimously resolved to work more closely with our sports people to help them realise their own aspirations and future success within their hometowns and villages, which also featured in the Conservative manifesto in the last Borough Council elections. We are also seeing other councils across the country recognising the community value of their local football clubs. Plymouth Argyle Supporters Trust successfully won ACV status for their stadium earlier this year. Both Hayes and Yedding and Slough Town have recently returned to their towns after periods of exile, and it looks likely that AFC Wimbledon and Gloucester City will finally be returning to their boroughs, all with the help of their local councils.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oxford United Supporters Trust, as part of their successful application to list their stadium as an ACV in 2013, argued that a football club's principal activity is the furtherance of local sporting interest, listed by the Localism Act as a particular social interest that a community asset should further. They argue that a football club promotes the enjoyment of sport and exercise to the local people, serves as a focus for community pride, helps build a sense of community identity, provides local people with an inclusive social environment, engages fans in the support of local charitable causes, provides economic benefits to local businesses, and represents the city and area nationally. These arguments were all accepted by the head of city development and apply to the community value of a football club much more broadly than just in relation to an ACV application. Over the years, we've seen many councillors happy to state their support for the football club and its aspirations, particularly in times of success. Councillor Derek Zanger is pictured in this paper here with the famous hooligans having nominated them as Fans of the Week back in 1989. In 2008, Councillor Jonathan West put forward the motion that this council calls upon the leader and the executive to work with Kettering Town Football Club to ensure a viable future for this important sporting and cultural attribute to our town. At the same time, Councillor Jim Hakewill said, "I'm absolutely sure the Cabinet and myself will do whatever we can to ensure that future generations continue to enjoy live sport within the borough. It seems as though we have strong cross-party support to do what we can for the Poppies." Councillor Philip Hollowbone in 2009 said, "It's very important to have a successful football club, and unless this ground issue is sorted, we could lose the club altogether." He additionally chose to mention Kettering Town Football Club as one of Kettering's biggest assets during his Lindsay Lohan speech to the Commons. Indeed, several members of this council have signed the petition. Councillors Duncan Bain, Steve Bellamy and Ash Davis. We have as yet, though, seen no evidence that this council has ever done anything practical to help the football club and therefore benefit the community as a whole. Councillor Russell Roberts, in an article in Northlands Telegraph in 2014, referred to the Kettering as a progressive and forward-moving borough. We see little evidence to support this claim currently, but perhaps Councillor Roberts would do well to look to the example of Kettering Town's current owner, Richie Zhern, who we believe is certainly progressive and forward-looking. In partnership with the Board of the Supporters Trust and members of the community, Mr Zhern has so far managed to save the club from the oblivion predicted by Mr Hollowbone, find a stable short-term solution for the ground issue, bring the Latimer Park facility up to the standards required by the Southern League, set a playing budget to ensure continued financial stability for the club, find and explore new ideas for a long-term solution to the issue of a stadium fit for purpose, oversee a growing youth team setup and the establishment of a women's team representing the club, and oversee the establishment of KTFC Community, which promotes participation in sports-based activities in a local area, and which the council might consider including in its sports facilities strategy and action plan, which runs till 2020 and currently has no mention of KTFC. We believe that Kettering Borough Council and Kettering Town Football Club should now work closely together to help the club and the borough thrive. Whilst we are not asking for a decision on the HCV status this evening, that could be the first small step in a new and fruitful partnership. Mr Mayor, on behalf of the 4,529 signatories from across the entire borough, including the A6 towns and villages and beyond, please accept and debate our petition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Atkinson, and I can see the encouragement and the positive in the audience this evening, and thank you very much. It is encouraging to see. I have to say we only normally have singing at Christmas. It's great to see. Okay, so we move on to the debate, and are there any members, remembering what I said earlier, Councillor Scrimshaw.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think we've answered the question about whether there's public support or not. I'm not necessarily going to talk about whether our decision for any future application would be made. But yes, I would like to see a further application because I want Kettering Town Football Club to play in Kettering. I think that's uncontentious. I suspect everybody, I certainly hope everybody here agrees with that. I I moved to Kettering 27, 28 years ago, and I've got to be honest, Mr. Mayor, when I first came, or before I came, I didn't even know where Kettering was on the map. I knew two things about Kettering. I knew about Whitney Park, because I used to come here at Sunday school outings as a child, believe it or not. And I knew about Kettering town. They have a history, they have a heritage, and they're undoubtedly part of the town's culture. Now, I don't know what plans the club actually have for their future. I know they want to move to Kettering, whether they want to move to Rockingham Road, whether they have any plans elsewhere, I honestly don't know, but I would hope that whatever their future, whichever way they see their future, this council may be able to help them in some way. Now, I know I can't move emotion tonight, but I hope that the leadership of the council will feel the need of the meeting and possibly arrange to set up informal or constructive talks with the club, just over a cup of coffee, just to try to find out if there's any way this council can help. Thank you very much.
Councillor Bailey.
Go on.
Ladies and gentlemen, I really don't know how I can follow that. I'm only people to talk to about, so I'm going to say little this evening. I had the privilege of walking with everybody through the town. It was amazing. I think the people in this chamber are very, very privileged to represent these people that are passionate about this town.
Yeah.
That sentiment is carried wholeheartedly in this chamber.
Correct.
And I think that is becoming very, very apparent. And I think the legislation which has been passed to executive powers for the officers to make has been passed because it's too big of an issue for the cowardly executive to have on their shoulders. Not to break the issue and not bring a decision amongst themselves. This is an issue about community, therefore it is political because the politics was brought to this chamber based on what the people want. The people want support from their council. At the minute they are not getting it, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. Mr. Mayor, what really concerns me is this is my second term as an elected councillor. And I came in, I think, a little bit green and naive, and I've had some fantastic times and was made some brilliant decisions as part of the Conservative group. But I have to say, my experience in the past and what I'm experiencing now, there is no wholehearted support from this Conservative executive who are hiding behind delegated powers to support the people of this town. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm done. Well done, mate. Top man.
Go on, Mike.
Go on, Mike. Go on, Mike.
Make sure they're all awake.
This debate has been a very long time coming. It's with a sense of pride that I stand here, finally able to debate this issue of our historic local football club after the machinery of this council attempting to stop it at any cost.
Yeah.
Behind closed doors, you have fought me at every step, avoid having a debate on these types of issues over the past 3 years. It is a real shame. If you spent that energy that you do in avoiding these debates and actually doing something tangible to help our local club and community, then there wouldn't be a need for this debate in the first place. No doubt many of you will sit on your hands tonight, fingers on lips, not saying a word, not representing the views of your constituents, and to you I say shame on you. It's a real shame that our MP tonight has not turned up for this crucial debate.
Where is he?
I have no idea, But to those of you that stand and speak and represent your electorate, stand tall and stand proud tonight. This petition petition reaches far across the globe. However, the vast majority of people who have signed it are from the borough of Kettering, but not just Kettering town. They are from the villages in our rural communities and from the towns along the A6. They are calling on you, out of frustration more than anything, to get a grip and start investing in our local football team the same way they do for rugby, cycling and volleyball. They're crying out to you to swallow your pride and to stop overlooking Kettering Town Football Club. They're crying out to you, their elected representatives, for a fresh approach. Not just words to get you through the evening, but a real commitment to give this town a sporting stadium it can be proud of for both club and community. We already have a stadium in this borough, and it's a sorry sight for the people of this borough. It was once a proud, buzzing community hub, host to thousands of local people and visitors alike, and is currently rotting away under our watch. This is a poor show from this council, and it has the powers that it chooses not to execute that can resolve this issue. It may be privately owned, but you have the powers at your disposal to ensure this community hub can again become a proud centre for local sports. It was this council that, for our senior officers, wrote to the landowner to state, and I quote, "This council would require, under the terms of the National Policy Planning Guidance, any developer to bear the cost of re-providing the current facility, and that's re-providing the current facility elsewhere in the borough. You have yourself therefore admitted the need for such a facility, and you've also committed the landowner to rebuild a stadium if we don't get control of Rockham Road, should it be sold, which is looking more and more unlikely as time goes on and the lack of action by this council. The council have land that can be used for such a facility, with grazing pastures along Gilbert Road and French's Field at Neighbourswick and Glebe that can be used for such a facility. I even have in writing members of the Cabinet of this council agreeing in principle that the latter is a valid way forward. So yet again, when it comes to the crunch, you back off, go cold, reject the football club and its aspirations against your own motions and your own manifesto commitments. And of course, we've heard all the excuses under the sun to avoid giving help over the years. It's a limited company. Well, we have lots of limited companies in this borough. It's written into our constitution to support local businesses. Volleyball England is also a limited company, and yet you do not shy away from them. There is, of course, a subject.
How many people watch volleyball?
But this application has been made through a community interest company and not a limited company. And what about the rugby club? You all say that. What about the rugby club? Every time I bring up in a meeting, you said this to me when I raised the issue of KTFC. Well, they've already received our help. They currently play on our land. Any excuse going, you use it. It's sad to watch and it's frustrating for your residents. Think again, councillors. Think again, officers. Get this problem sorted. Do the right thing. Don't be afraid to use the powers you have to fix this. Stop silencing people and start empowering them. We want to change on this issue, be that change, get our football club and community back home.
Give the people what they want.
Where we want them.
Please. Make you up.
Councillor Mitchell. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I moved to Kettering about 10 years ago. I moved here from Hinkley. Now, in the footballing community, you may know what happened to Hinkley.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I did. The town was devastated. If this council can do something to alleviate the pain that the fans will feel, we need to do it. And in fact, it's just simply sending a message by changing the decision that 2011 is a long time ago or recent. 2011 is recent.
Yes.
And I'm committed to this, and I'm probably going to get booed for this, but I don't even like football. I haven't in my life watched a full game. I've never even watched England play properly. But if it's about sending a message to the fans of Kettering that we want them back, we want them back.
Yeah! Thank you.
Are there any other councillors that we should see? Councillor Roberts.
Sure, I give it.
Here we go.
Mr. Mayor, I'm very, very pleased that everybody's come tonight, and I believe there's a lot of people out in
400
and outside, and have come tonight to show us the passion with which they support their team. And I know about teamwork, and I'm very pleased to see that everybody wants to support Kettering. Now, I'm not going to promise anything I can't deliver tonight, but what I can say to you is that the officers have been talking to Kettering Town Football Club, and we will definitely continue to talk to Kettering Town.
Yeah. Don't talk, act!
You would not believe if I told you how much I would love to see Kettering Town Football Club playing football in town. Let's leave it at, we've heard you, thank you for coming, we're going to talk to the football club. It was a good, sensible debate. We will seek and see what we can achieve.
Corby Council Manager. Fine.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts.
You're right.
Is that it?
Thank you all very much. I'm quite sure all those comments have been taken on board, and I'm quite sure further correspondence will happen. I understand that you have put in a second application, so we await the result of that. Now, before we move on to the next item, there are a series of questions that have been submitted surrounding football, and it's up to you if you wish to stay for those questions, or if you wish to leave now, or if you wish to stay to the end of the meeting. It's entirely up to you. And if you'd like, I can move the questions so they move next. Are you quite happy with taking questions now?
That will make sense, Mr. Mayor, and then you can conduct the rest of your business in peace.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we move to the questions. I will take the questions as read. So from Councillor Bellamy to Councillor Roberts, question 1. Are there any substantive questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, the question was, for the people that haven't received it, has the decision to reject the first ACB application for Rockingham Road under Kettering Borough Council's powers and duties been consistent? That's the key part, gentlemen. Has it been consistent with the sporting motion passed in July 2015 by full council? That reads, and I will reply to Mr. Mayor. This motion recognises the enormous contribution local sporting organisations make to our borough. An active society is a healthy society. Thus, this motion wishes to endorse the majority group's manifesto. That's the next question. Commitment to the borough. In particular, we aim to regenerate. Regenerate, that's a really interesting word. I'm sure we all know.
Councillor Bellamy, is there a supplementary
Yes, there is,
question?
Mr. Mayor, but the audience needs to know the context of the original question because it is.
Questions have been circulated.
And I will reiterate about 2 sentences, so please, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, with all the leisure facilities and also to work more closely with our local sporting teams to help them realise their own aspirations and future success within their hometowns and villages. The answer was, it's not a political decision, that's because it was given delegated powers because they didn't dare to make a political decision. The actual question was, is it in line? And you haven't answered the question. Was it consistent with this motion? Simple question, Mr. Leader. Yes or no? I believe it was no was the answer. Thank you.
So the supplementary question, please.
I've asked a supplementary question, Mr. Mayor. I'll repeat it.
But I think you asked that.
Well, I did, yes, but I'll ask it again and allow the leader to answer, which would be good enough, but I do appreciate that. The question was, is it consistent with the motion of full council of July 2015? Yes or no?
Listen, I think I understand the question. It is consistent. This decision was taken, we've heard earlier tonight, that this decision is taken under the law. And we do support participatory clause. And I have actually tonight said that the officers are going to meet for I do believe that's an application.
Can you speak up, please?
Question 2 from Councillor Bellaby to Councillor Roberts again. Is there a supplementary question?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Can I sleep tonight?
The answer I was given for the original question was a lazy response, as per my previous answer. I mean, such a big important issue, surely it deserves the context of a reply. So again, I asked, rather than being, is this consistent with the motion, was this decision to reject the first ACB application for Rocking Road consistent with the Conservative 2015 local election manifesto, which made the same place, which we all stood and were elected?
Councillor Bellaby,
Yes
that
or
is
no?
not a supplementary
Yes,
question.
it is.
It's
It's
the same
asking, it is
question.
not, Mr. Mayor. I've asked if it's actually consistent. The consistency question
It's exactly the
was
same
not
question,
answered.
Councillor Bellaby.
It wasn't answered, Mr. Mayor.
It's been answered.
It's not been answered.
Do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Does the leader
Supplementary
have an answer
questions
to the
must be
original question?
different to the first question.
Okay, that's fine. To the leader, does the leader of Kettering Borough Council have an answer which doesn't replicate the original answer given to the first question?
That's not a supplementary. Question 3 from Councillor Mike Brown to Councillor Russell Roberts. Is there a supplementary question,
Don't
please?
patronise Mr. Mayor, please. Personally,
Yes, there is. Obviously, the original question, this was about the one-way system, when we expect to have parts of that removed in line with the manifesto. The answer states that it's not a matter of our control. So why did you sign up the policy for this to be included in the Borough Council elections manifesto?
Big ambitions for Kettering. Then one of the ambitions we've got for Kettering is to make sure that the road system is better. And working with our partners at Northampton County Council, we're seeking to do that. They're planning various things on that, and a start has been made. Some improvements to the town centre roads have already been done. And it's all about money, but we are still going to be pushing, trying very hard to get the road system turned around so that we can go north-south, and it makes the access to the town centre better.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to apologise for having big ambitions for Kettering.
Huge game.
Can you speak up a bit louder next time, leader?
I'll try.
Dave, I've asked that twice.
Question
I'm waiting for your names and I can't hear them.
4 from Councillor Brown against Councillor Roberts.
The original question asked the leader when he expects a manifesto pledge to cut car parking charges in Kettering Town Centre to be fulfilled. The answer states that he's already cut it by £40,000 per year, but that was in place before the election, before that. So when is the further cut promised in the manifesto going to be fulfilled, leader?
Well, within the life of this, the 4 years that we've got when we were elected, I think car parking charges have been reduced by this administration for the first time that anybody's reduced them, and we have reduced them. We've given free car parking to people coming to the bottom of the units. We've got 3 days when there are events on, and we are reviewing it at the moment. We're not in a position to announce anything at the moment, but we are constantly reviewing that. So it will be as hopefully as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Question 5 from Councillor Brown to Councillor Thurman.
A bit more disdainful towards you, Councillor Thurman. The total expenditure given to the Kettering Volleyball Centre has been £63,000. And I was on the executive that passed that money, and I'm quite happy that money was passed. But at the time I did raise we should be doing something also for the football club. When do we plan to give similar support to Kettering Town Football Club?
Yeah.
It's our money.
Councillor Brown, I'm glad you said you were an executive when you decided to give funding to the volleyball team, because some of your colleagues were shouting who watches volleyball or who plays. Well, obviously you did think so at the time. And as Councillor Roberts has said... Can you speak up a bit, please? Sorry. And as Councillor Roberts said, we are going to talk to the football club again. We have been talking to them, and Councillor Brown knows this. So going forward, if there are any plans or any opportunities to do what we have done for the volleyball, I am sure we will take the right decision for everybody in our borough. Thank you.
The question was, when did we give £63,000 to the poppies?
Question 6 from Councillor Brown to Councillor Thurman.
Thank you. Once again, I'm asking about women's cycle race. Again, a very proud member of this council awarding money for the cycle race and supporting cycling. But when are we going to do the same for the football club?
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And again, repeating myself, we try to do and support in the borough. Now, Councillor Brown is eager to support the women's cycling. Women's cycling has had a horse race. We are struggling to get females to go into cycling. And we found that this is good for the borough, it's good for the town,
Is it?
It's good for the ladies of Kettering.
Sorry, can I just ask the audience, please be quiet whilst Councillor Thurman is answering the questions. Some people can't hear the answers. Thank you. And Councillor Thurman, could you just pop your microphone a little bit nearer? Thank you.
Normally, people can hear me. Yeah, what I'm saying is, the women's cycle race, Councillor Brown was keen to support this, as we all were, and it's been going for a number of years now. Women's cycling has had a problem with getting people to join in. It's not being seen as a mainstream sport for females. And doing this, we believe we will get more people participating in the sport in Kettering, and we are doing the best for our residents. And as again what I said to Councillor Brown earlier on, if we get the opportunity to have a football club, we will do what is best for every resident in the town.
Nothing. Why would you support volleyball then? You have that help in the
If I could
community.
remind you, the questions have come from councillors, not from members of the audience.
When we hear a
Thank you.
reasonable response, we won't stop shouting.
Then I will ask you to leave.
I will.
We don't want any of your money. We don't want your money.
We're just asking why you picking volleyball. What's the number of
I'm
local
not taking
people
questions
playing
from the
volleyball?
audience. Thank you.
Yeah, all right, I'll shut up.
Question 7 from Councillor Brown to Councillor Thurman.
Hi, Leslie. In regards, this question was about the land on which the Kettering Rugby Club Stadium is currently built. Is it owned by the council? And the original answer was yes, it is owned by the council on a 99-year lease. Now, we have discussed various areas council owned, such as French's Field and other plots of land, and I had quite a lot of cabinet support at the time when I put this forward, which I have in writing still. Why can't we do this for Kettering Town Football Club?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Question stated stadium at Kettering Rugby Club. Well, there isn't a stadium at Kettering Rugby Club. There are pitches that people play on. This has been going way before when I came to Kettering. It is the land, yeah. The land was contaminated. The decision to do this predates probably most of the people sitting in this room. The land was contaminated. We presume it was from the old Kettering brickworks, if anybody can remember that. And it wasn't suitable for residential development. So the council at the time decided to get some use out of this land. And again, the idea was to encourage participation in rugby for the residents of Kettering. And Councillor Brown knows this is a binding lease. This was signed well before any of us came to the council, certainly well before my time. I've been doing it for 12 months. And I will reiterate again for the third time what Councillor Roberts said. If we get a chance to talk to the football club and we can help them, we will do for the benefit of every resident. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 8. Councillor Brown to Councillor Turton. Is there a supplementary question?
I think you know what the question is going to be, Mayor. Obviously, we lease that land for £10.50 per year. Okay, just on the last question, Rockingham Road is on contaminated land, I believe, so is French's Field. So why don't we get that into use in the spirit really of the rugby club? Anyway. Can you do a similar peppercorn rent deal that you have with the rugby club? Yeah. Football club?
Yes.
Of course not. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to remind people that in the past there was an offer for both the football and rugby clubs to share that land, and it was declined.
Why who? That's not answering the question. Why who? Answer the question. Answer the question.
Question 9 from Councillor Brown, Councillor Jennings. And before you ask any supplementary questions, I do need to ask two gentlemen to leave the room. Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Brown.
The question is why was the new position of the managing director of this authority kept confidential, not in the interest of transparency and shared with the public, so maybe they could come and have their say on the professional leadership of this organisation.
So is there a supplementary question?
Yes, it's why was it initially kept confidential?
That's the actual question. Which you haven't answered.
It was kept confidential at the time.
Your question 9. Why was the new position of managing director kept confidential? You haven't answered for that. Is there a supplementary question?
Okay, why was it in the best interests of this council to work in the way that it did and have private papers for members on this issue?
Councillor Jerry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The decision was made in private and confidential by this council unanimously. And it's then put into the public realm. When talking about people's jobs, positions and livelihoods, that is always done private and confidential and then put to the public.
Question 10 from Councillor Brown to Councillor Jelly. Are there any supplementary questions?
Yes, the original question was, does the leader feel that proposed salary of over £130,000 for the new managing director position represents good value for money?
No. No.
Now, I haven't had an answer to that, because I asked specifically if the leader feels that the proposed salary of over £130,000 for the new managing director position represents good value for money. The answer does not cover the question. I need an answer to that question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, I'm going to pass you to think through.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Some time ago, the council considered how it might deal with the issue of questions. And whilst I appreciate that some councils might specifically wish to ask a question of an individual councillor, it is clear and has been made clear to councillors that if it is on a subject matter which another councillor has dealt with, for example, a portfolio order, in this case the chair of the Flexible Resources Working Group, then the question might be best answered by the person who dealt with the matter. Now, I appreciate that Councillor Brown would like to see what the leader's view might be on that, but actually the issue at hand was one which Councillor Jelly brought to this council on the 14th September, if I recall, and one that Councillor Jelly presented to this council on the 14th of September. And that is why the initiative has been taken, to suggest that Councillor Jelly is the person who managed that process, and therefore would be able to account for that. Right, you're wrong, Mr. Mayor.
Question 11 from Councillor Brown to Councillor Jelly. Are there any supplementary questions? Question 12 from Councillor Brown to Councillor Jelly. Are there any supplementary questions?
Yes. The initial question was, have any local people been considered for the new role of managing director? And that's been answered. Why have no local people been considered for the position? Is my supplementary question.
Thank you. Councillor Jelly.
Because nobody applied for
Thank you. Question 13 from Councillor Brown to Councillor Roberts.
It says, does the leader agree with the statement in the Northampton Telegraph by the council that there should not be a debate in the petition for Rockingham Road Stadium? Now, we've obviously had that debate, and it says, I hope the situation regarding this is now much clearer. So I understand that you do feel that the initial statement was incorrect, and you're quite happy to have had the debate now.
We've debated the process, not the decision, and I'm happy to take this opportunity to reiterate the fact that we are going to continue to talk to the owners of the football club. And I think there's a theme that's gone through a lot of things tonight. We want to encourage young people to get active in sports. Young girls, we're told, tend not to want to get involved in participation in sport. The cycle race was a good opportunity, amongst other things, to encourage them to get involved. The volleyball does a lot of new stuff. Now the football, let's finish on that, the football club is doing an awful lot of work with young people to get them actively playing football. And that, I believe, we will definitely want to support and see if there's some funding that can go into. Was that the answer you were looking for? That.
Thank you, Councillor. No, that's absolutely Councillor Dong. It's your turn. And to Councillor Thurman. Are there any supplementary questions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you for your answer, Councillor Bernard. However, it doesn't actually answer the question. I really want you to be sure that when we have this consultation on council tax support, it gets to the people who are going to be affected. Your answer was generic. That's what we always do with every consultation, and that's fine. But those people who are most affected, Mr. Mayor, are likely not to notice it's going on, and therefore not engage in something that is going to directly affect their future.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After this is the last question, and after what we've heard tonight, I do welcome Councillor Don's question. This question is very important to a smaller proportion of our residents, and it means a lot to them, and it means where do we spend our money, right? And as it says, the consultation will be transparent, and yes, I personally will endeavour to ensure that that process is made available to everyone affected by this issue, and I'm more than happy to work with Councillor Don to make sure this happens. Thank you.
Thank you. That does end the question. So if anybody does particularly have a burning desire to leave the rest of the meeting, by all means you are more than welcome to stay. But I will give this chance to leave if you wish.
Thank you. Help us out, guys. Help us out. A bit of land, that's
Got it.
And we're proud to be Kettering. 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 And we're proud.